Climate change is one of the most pressing environmental issues facing the world today. The European continent is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of a rapidly changing climate, and is already experiencing many of the consequences that are being felt globally. The region is home to diverse ecosystems, including some of the world's most productive agricultural lands, important urban centers, and vital infrastructure. This article provides an overview of the causes and impacts of climate change in Europe, as well as the actions being taken by governments, organizations, and individuals to mitigate its effects. Causes of climate change in Europe. Like the rest of the world, Europe's changing climate is primarily caused by increasing levels of greenhouse gases, GHGs, in the atmosphere. The primary GHG is carbon dioxide, CO2, which is emitted from burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas for energy production, transportation, and industrial processes. Other GHGs include methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases, which also contribute to global warming. In Europe, the transportation sector is the largest contributor to GHG emissions, followed by energy production and agriculture. Impacts of climate change in Europe. The impacts of climate change are already being felt across Europe, and will likely become more severe in the coming years. Some of the most notable impacts include rising temperatures. Europe is experiencing an increase in average temperatures, with some regions experiencing more significant changes than others. This is causing the region's ecosystems to shift, altering the distribution and behavior of plant and animal species. Increased frequency of heat waves. Europe has experienced several heat waves in recent years, with the summer of 2003 being particularly severe. These events can cause widespread drought, which can lead to crop failures and wildfires. Rising sea levels. The polar ice caps are melting, causing sea levels to rise globally. In Europe, low-lying coastal regions are particularly vulnerable to flooding, which can result in significant damage to infrastructure and homes. Increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events. Europe is experiencing an increase in the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, including heavy rainfall and flooding, strong winds, and hailstorms. These events can result in significant damage to infrastructure, homes, and crops. Changes to ecosystems. Europe is home to many unique ecosystems, including temperate forests, wetlands, and alpine regions. Climate change is causing these ecosystems to change, with some species becoming more abundant and others becoming rarer. This can have significant impacts on biodiversity and ecosystem services, such as pollination and pest control. Actions being taken to mitigate climate change in Europe. Governments, organizations, and individuals across Europe are taking action to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Some of the most notable initiatives include the European Union's EU 2030 Climate and Energy Framework. The EU has set a target to reduce its GHG emissions by at least 40% compared to 1990 levels by 2030. The framework also includes targets for renewable energy, energy efficiency, and interconnections between EU countries to support the integration of renewable energy into the region's energy mix. The Paris Agreement. Europe is a signatory to the Paris Agreement, which is a global agreement to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Investment in renewable energy. Europe is investing heavily in renewable energy, including wind, solar, and hydropower. The region is also supporting the development of new technologies, such as energy storage and smart grids, to help integrate renewables into the energy mix. Energy efficiency measures. Europe is taking steps to improve energy efficiency in buildings, industry,